beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're doing something very different for my channel because I'm wearing blue eyeshadow. We're talking about this Stila palette. This is the Blue Realm Velvet Eyeshadow Palette. I think that this Blue Realm collection was their holiday collection. I didn't hear pretty much anybody talking about this. I didn't even really see a lot of pictures of it popping up on my Instagram feed. Didn't see any reviews of this palette. I'm not saying they don't exist, I'm just saying the people that I watch were not talking about this palette. I ended up picking up this palette kind of on a whim. It was on sale at Ulta. So the original retail price for this was 30 bucks. I think I paid like 18 for it, and I was doing my annual cashing in all of my points at the end of the year. This really intrigued me. I haven't really heard a lot from Stila lately, and because classic blue has been named the Pantone color of the year for 2020, I really wanted to, I guess, face my fears of blue. I am very uncomfortable with blue eyeshadows, pretty much of any shade. I can get down with some duochromes, like the blue-purple duochrome called Glass Bull from ColourPop. It is one of my favorites. But when it comes to just straight blue eyeshadow, I get very nervous. I don't feel sure of myself. I don't feel like I look great or that I'm great at using it. So in the spirit of getting out of my comfort zone and just the fact that this palette looked very beautiful and very interesting, we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to show you some swatches. I'm going to show you two different eye looks, one of which is more blue than the other, aka this one I'm wearing right now. The outer packaging is a very heavy-duty plastic, and it feels very heavy. It does have a magnetic closure. I really like that sound. When we open up, there is a nice big mirror inside, and then there are 6 eyeshadows, 2 of which are matte, 2 are just metallic shimmers, and then 2 are these more glittery, iridescent topper type of shades. The shade names are not printed inside next to the pans. I don't really know why. There's plenty of extra space in here. There's lots of wasted space in my opinion, but the shade names are printed on the back. The shades are Enlighten, Enchant, Awaken, Discover, Transcend, and Reveal. So I'm just gonna show you the swatches here. The finger swatches are on top and then the brush swatches are below. Before I get into my thoughts on this palette, I wanna go ahead and show you the 2 different tutorials that I did using these shades. One is more subtle, more wearable, and definitely more in my personal style. And then the second is this very bold blue look that I'm wearing. So let's take a look at those tutorials now. I'm starting off by priming my eyes with my favorite eye base. It's the MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. Then I just used a little bit of my MAC Next to Nothing powder to set my eye base so I'd have a nice smooth surface to work on. Next I used the lighter matte shade called Discover, and I built that up into my crease area for a transition, and I also put that along my lower lash line to give this look some balance. Then I went in with this more mauvey purple shade called Enchant, and using a more dense, small, fluffy brush, I built that up on the outer part of my eye and then blended it up into my outer crease area. Next, I took Transcend. This is probably my favorite shadow in this palette, and I built it up across my entire eyelid just using my fingertip. Then I used Enlighten on my little pinky finger, and I dabbed that into the inner corner area and just a little bit up onto the lid space. Next, I took Transcend again. I wanted to make this more intense, so I sprayed the brush with some setting spray, and then I brushed that on top, focusing in the center of the lid so that I would get that really bright iridescent shine. Curled my lashes, added some CoverGirl Exhibitionist mascara, and that's the first look. This still has that cool tone, that hint of blue in the shifts in both of the topper type of shades. This is the kind of blue adjacent look that I can really get behind. But we're gonna go for it with this next look, prepping my eyes in the exact same way, first with the paint pot. to prime, and then I set my eye base with the MAC Next to Nothing pressed powder. I'm also going to set this look up in a very similar way at first, using that lighter matte called Discover, really building that into the crease area and also along the lower lash line. Now it's time to get down to business. I'm taking the bright blue called Reveal, and using my fingertip, I'm really carefully tapping this across my entire eyelid. This shadow is no joke. It is very pigmented and it does not remove easily. So I tapped that on and then just blended it out with no additional product to try to smooth the edges. Next, I took Awaken. This is the gold metallic shade. I put that in the inner corner and then really dragged that up onto the lid about halfway across my eyelid. Just did a little bit more blending. I really was trying to control that blue. Next, I went in with Enchant on a pencil brush to just deepen up that lower lash line. And for a finishing touch, I took a little bit of the topper called Enlighten and pressed that all over my entire lid. Curled my lashes and added my CoverGirl Exhibitionist mascara. And that finishes off this look. This is way outside of my comfort zone. It was really fun to try it, and I'm definitely going to be incorporating more blue into my looks, but it is not going to become my signature color anytime soon. Okay, now that you've seen the two eye looks, I'm going to share my thoughts on this palette, and it's pretty middle of the road for me. I like the distribution of the finishes in here. There's 2 mattes, 2 toppers, and then 2 metallics. I really like that, and I do think that this mix of finishes is very, very useful, particularly in a small, more curated palette like this. I do wish that there was more variation between the 2 matte shades. I think this palette really could have benefited from the darker matte shade being a lot deeper, whether that was a navy matte shade or just a dark brown, a dark purple, something to amp up the contrast, because these 2 mattes just come off looking very similar. And when 2 shades in a 6-pan palette look too much alike, it's really a missed opportunity in my opinion. I think the toppers are great. As you saw in the tutorial, you can either just apply them, just brush it on with your finger with a brush, or you can use a damp brush to really up the volume. I like topper shades for that, and I think both of these are really useful, very smart choices shade-wise for this palette. The metallics are also very nice, very intense, get a great one-swipe payoff from those. And I don't mind that this blue is the pop of blue. I feel like it's really featured. It's not just thrown in as an afterthought. All of the other shades really seem to support this blue shade. So it doesn't feel like the regular pop of blue in a palette. At least just that's my opinion. The mattes, I wish they were more intense, especially when it has a name like Velvet Eyeshadow Palette. I'm expecting a super rich, more pigmented matte shade. When I hear velvet, that's what I think of. And these were both just very meh for me. They showed up, they blended nicely on the eye. I think they look better on the eye than they do in swatch. But I really wish that I was getting that velvet feeling from these mattes, and I just really didn't. I can see myself continuing to use this palette, though I will probably use it in conjunction with another palette so that I can get some more opaque matte shades and I can bring in some more deep shades. Particularly with this blue, I would love to do something a little bit smokier instead of just bright blue in your face. Balance the brightness and the boldness of this blue with some deeper matte shades. I don't love it. I definitely see why it was on sale. It is kind of mediocre in my opinion, but this is bringing something different to my collection personally, and it has inspired me to go out of my comfort zone. In addition to being a blue focused palette, it is very cool toned, and that's also not something I generally gravitate towards. So I'm not mad that I bought it, but I'm also not loving it as much as I hoped I would. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about this palette. Have you heard anybody talking about this? Have you tried it? I always love to hear your thoughts on the things that I review too. And also leave me a comment letting me know what your favorite blue eyeshadows are. Since I mentioned that the Pantone color of the year is classic blue, I do really want to try some more blue looks. I want to conquer my blue eyeshadow fear, so leave me your blue shadow recommendations down in the comments. You guys never steer me wrong, and I always appreciate you. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! From what? Sure? I really like that sound. Does anybody else really like that sound? Can't just be me. Oh, I'm so scared of blue eyeshadow. Oh my gosh. If this looks crazy, this video is canceled. What have I gotten myself into? Oh boy. Okay. Scared. Okay, let's see if the gold can help us. This blue shadow gets everywhere and stains everything. Did any of that make sense? Probably not. When in doubt, regroup and add more lip gloss. Blue eyeshadow, blue. Kind of how I feel about it. I want just like this to be a quad and then make the mattes better. Was that shady? Sorry, Stila. My eyelids are probably going to be stained blue now because I had a time getting the swatches off of my arm. Wish me luck. Okay, gotta go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.